Hey gang, welcome back to another guide video for the Long Dark. If you haven't seen it already, go ahead and check out my playstyle tuning guide first before watching this video, as this one builds on that one in many ways. But if you've already seen it, let's go ahead and get started. Stalker is a far more difficult game mode compared to the other two, especially if you have limited time in the Long Dark, or still learning the maps and the mechanics. Stalker ups the ante in many ways, and we're going to discuss exactly what you're going to need to focus on first in order to have a shot at surviving. So one of the first things to keep in mind is that Stalker takes the wildlife from Voyager and amps it up a fair bit, which is probably an understatement. Wolves are far more aggressive, they can scent and detect you from further away, and they deal far more damage in a fight than those from Voyager. You're going to want to brush up on your wolf avoidance skills, as it isn't always practical or worthwhile to kill every wolf you meet. Mastering tactics such as diversion with rocks or baiting with spare meat and guts, figuring out what areas you can flee to that have advantages such as shelter, high ground, or fallen trees. Wolves are the primary aggressor in Stalker, but they aren't the only thing that's been amped. Bears will also scent and track you from further away than before. Items, especially high tier ones, are far rarer and harder to find, typically, and it's colder from day one and the temperature decays far faster too. So, what should you think about first in terms of approaching Stalker? As mentioned before, hostile wildlife is going to be your primary concern. Anywhere in Voyager you commonly find issues with wolves, expect to find them here too, and with more than just one hanging about. Work on practicing proper avoidance and filling out your map knowledge. Map knowledge is going to be an incredible important portion of avoiding wolves. If you know where they are likely to be, you can plan your trips around those areas accordingly. If you do have to enter an area that's likely to be patrolled by wolves, be certain you're ready for an encounter, be it fleeing, standing your ground, or distracting them. Given time, you'll learn how to best manage any situation that arises regarding wolves, but the utmost thing to remember here is play it safe and always have a plan. Wolves may be predictable, but that doesn't mean they aren't dangerous. Don't let complacency get the better of you, as it most certainly can be a run-ender. I'm speaking from much experience on this point. Secondly, there's the loot. With good loot being much rarer than Voyager and much more sparse and spaced out, it's important to tune your first few weeks in the game with searching out the items that you find most beneficial first, be that going for a preemptive forge run, stocking up on food and water, or clearing out the wolf-infested areas early. Whatever your preferred style of load and go, keep in mind that the weather is far more unfavorable to you, and you're going to find yourself forced to plan around it more than you may have thought. Be it just too cold or a raging blizzard, Stalker brings about more unpredictable and more unfavorable weather to add another layer of difficulty to your survival. Mid to high tier clothing is an absolute must and should be a high priority. Rifles, bows, and revolvers will still spawn in this mode, so you won't be without ways to accrue natural food or scare off the hostile wildlife, but do keep in mind that the resources pertaining to these tools will be fewer and further between than before. Make sure you use them a little bit more sparingly compared to Voyager, or you may find yourself running low on ammo sooner than you would have liked. In Pilgrim and Voyager, with good loot being so prevalent, there's not much that's terribly exciting about Timberwolf Mountain besides the scenery. While the loot is outstanding, it's not that you can't find it elsewhere. In Stalker, however, it can pay well to make a nice little journey to the summit and collect all the loot there. Because of how DK works in the Long Dark, it's best to try and clear all the loot out as best as possible before day 100. Hitting Timberwolf Mountain early can net you big rewards, but don't go unprepared. Nasty weather and tight corridors lead to unfavorable conditions in both raw survival and in terms of unexpected encounters with the furry kind. If you do plan on making Timberwolf Mountain a part of your run, especially earlier on, practice good wolf avoidance and plan ahead for unfavorable conditions. Getting to the stage of self-sustainability isn't too hard in Stalker comparatively, sans the wolves of course, but it's far harder to maintain. Once you begin to rely on animals for your food, the big factor of Stalker comes into play, and heavily. That factor is hyper-aggressive wolves. In lower difficulties, you don't often need a fire to harvest your kill, but in Stalker, even if you are warm, it's recommended to light one for harvesting anyway. If you're using the knife, it will speed up harvest times as the carcass thaws, and will pause any wolves from attacking you if they manage to get too close for comfort. While they can't attack you in accelerated time if you're in the harvesting menu, if they are close enough to detect you when you finish getting out of that menu, they will most certainly start the attack. If you're going for a long run, or just to see how long you can survive, it will pay to start hoarding resources and using things like matches and ammo as sparingly as possible, as these items will tend to run out the quickest. While you could always switch to the bow for defense, you can't replace lost matches. It's always a good idea to hang on to a few and try to use the mag lens as often as possible. However, if you clear out all the regions, it's possible to game upwards of 140 to 220 matches between a mix of cardboard and wooden matches. It's doubtful you'll be lighting a fire every single day, but even if you do, you'll have a long time to go before you run out. Just keep in mind that if you hoard all the supplies, it's good to check up on items like processed food and clothing often, as decay rates will hit those pretty hard. These are some of the things that will affect Stalker players the most, so it's important to tune your playstyle around these items to ensure greater chance of success and long-term survival. While everyone will play differently, it's a good idea to follow some basic safe practices to assist you in your run. Keep in mind that this isn't a definitive or exhaustive list of all that could affect you in Stalker or all the different things that will have an effect on your run. These are just the greatest things to keep in mind: wolves, weather, and loot. I hope this guide has helped you identify areas where you can improve, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, stay safe and stay warm out there.